This is the real secret to nail the whole Lotta Love riff. Whole Lotta Love. Let's break down this riff and find out why it's such a great guitar riff. It's in the key of E. And this is the first important thing to remember. It starts on the upbeat of the 3. So it's 1, 2, 3, pa 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 pa. That's how it goes. So 1, 2, 3. Right? 1, 2, 3. So you might be thinking, you know what I'm going to talk about here. And you're probably thinking I'm going to talk about the open D string, right? The dissonance. If you don't know what I'm talking about, this is a very widely known trick to play this riff, which is to you start on the B note, right? And then on the second note is the D note. So but that's kind of boring, right? The trick is to add the open D string. So you bend the A string up and you hit the D string with the pick. It creates this dissonance. It's sort of like a chorus effect. So everyone talks about this, but this is not what we're talking about today. There's the other half of the riff, the E chord. I believe that everyone can play the riff their own way, but there's a certain groove to this riff that if, for example, you play it with downstrokes, it sounds like... which sounds fine, but there's a certain stiffness to it that, it sounds more like, hard rock, not so much rock and roll. So if you watch Jimmy playing it, and you'll see that he's alternate picking. That makes it a little smoother, right? So versus this is a little bit stiffer, I think. The thing here is that you don't need to hit that hard. It's not about... Actually, the way I see it, the muted notes are just as important. You just have to, to maintain that sort of consistency. I'm not hitting hard. I'm just riding through the strings, if that makes sense. If I hit too hard, it kind of ruins it. It has to, it has kind of to dance. It's very. And the E chord itself is really, it's really quick. It's just bup, bup, bup. So very quick stabs, and so you sort of lift your hand really quickly between the strums. Right. Play. See? This is sort of what is happening. And in between, you're slightly muting the low E string, so it sounds like this. So it's just the E note on the A string and the B note on the D string. Versus, for example, and it's a different vibe, right? A very different vibe, and compared to, it's almost quiet at some points, right? And sometimes you add that extra, right? Occasionally I add that little tail to it, but so yeah, your hand has to be very, very loose, and it has to be relaxed. How I see the studio version of the guitar riff, and it's such an iconic groove. This groove is so tasty, and it most of the time it just flies over most people's heads because they're not paying attention to it. It's all about that swing, right? And this is why I think this riff is so cool, because you can play it so many different ways. You can turn it into a hard rock riff. You can, I don't know, maybe you could turn it into metal, maybe. But yeah, this is me trying to dissect at least how the original recording goes. You know, those little nuances of the original recording. And it's really a never-ending quest. I'm still working on it, and these are just some of my findings. And you also gotta remember that even Jimmy never played it the same way for too long. And I will also make a video about how the riff evolved through the years, because it changed a lot. By 1970, he was already changing it. By 73, he was just fooling around with it. And even by the late 70s, he was already, just banging it without any care whatsoever, almost a punk rock vibe, sort of. But yeah, that's a story for another day, and I hope you liked this video, and see you next time.